Today I thought that we would do something really smart. I thought that we would actually make a plan for the things that I want to knit next. Today I'm going to be taking you guys through my plans for spring knit and crochet projects. Well, spring into early summer. I'm kind of making this like April through mid-June. I was watching the spring knitting plans video by Any Knits yesterday, and I thought, wow, it's a really good idea to actually make specific plans about what you want to work on next, which I know for some may seem so obvious, but a big goal that I'm working on right now is going through my stash. As you can see, I have a ton of yarns right now. I really want to get through this stash, but in order to do that, I have to really be specific and sure about the things that I want to make. So that's what brings us here today. I think this is going to be fun. I'm going to be knitting while we talk, so be sure to grab your projects and sit down with me and we can do a little crafting circle. Also, if I'm not making eye contact with you a lot, it's because with this project, I do have to look at what I'm doing pretty often, so I'm not trying to ignore you. So yeah, grab your craft, grab some coffee or a little snack. And if you're looking for some spring knitting and crochet inspo, then stick around because you might see something here that you want to work on. And also, shameless plug, I have to say I did just post a project vlog where I made a halter top out of granny squares that's going to be perfect for spring and summer. So if you guys are into crop tops and camis and stuff like that, you should definitely check that out. I'm going to divide this video into 4 different parts. And by the way, these are largely inspired by Any Knits. So if you see some similarity, it's similar because I really like how she does these videos. So the first category is going to be whips from winter that I want to finish. Second is going to be crochet projects. Third is going to be knitting projects. And fourth, we're going to be talking about projects that I would like to do, but I could live without if I don't get to them. Where I live, the window of spring is so small. That's why I'm kind of saying that this is like spring, summer, sprunger knitting crochet plans, because we're already in April. Happy April Fool's Day, by the way, on the day that I'm filming this. We're already in April, and honestly, once you get to the end of May where I live, it's sweltering hot in the summer. So, though I do have a window to quickly bang out some transitional cold night type pieces, really I need to be focusing on warmer weather stuff. So I don't know, I kind of tried to stick with things that realistically I will wear or use in the springtime, like this transitional period. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I've got my Pinterest open, so let's just go ahead and get into my spring and summer knitting and crochet plans. So let's get started with the projects from winter that I want to make sure I finish this spring. These are both knitting projects, and I'm actually just going to go ahead and start with the one that I'm working on right now. So this project is actually a test knit. It's for a currently unnamed pullover by Paul Hazemeyer. It's a reverse stockinette sweater worked in 4 parts. So this is the back panel currently. This is the front panel piece, and then it has 2 sleeve pieces that I'm going to be doing later, and we'll get to that in a second. The yarn that I'm using for this is new to me, and I'm loving it so far. This is the Yakima yarn by Plymouth Yarn, and the color that I'm using is 208 Pine. This is an 85% fine superwash merino wool and 15% yak. It's a fingering weight. I'm really liking working with this yarn. I really like to make mini deadlines with myself for projects, and you may be thinking, wow, that sounds really stressful. It is, but it's also really fun for me. It makes it so that I know when I want to finish something by, and it also kind of gamifies my knitting and crochet. Is it a toxic habit? I don't know. I believe I started this test knit in February. I'll put the exact date on the screen. And the due date is May 3rd to have our test knits done. My goal has been actually to be starting on the sleeves the first weekend of April for a number of reasons. One, because I'm a much slower knitter than I think a lot of the other testers are, and this being a fingering weight project, I really wanted to make sure I was trying to stay ahead of the curve, because I think me trying to stay ahead just means I'm going to be on track, but hopefully it won't get me behind. I'm going on a trip this weekend for the eclipse, and I figured that it would be so perfect for traveling if I can just be focusing on the sleeves while I'm gone. They're pretty straightforward, and I don't think with the nature of the trip that I'm doing, I'm going to have a lot of downtime for knitting. I think it's really honestly mostly going to be in the car or in my hotel room at night. And I'm thinking it'll be the only project that I bring on this trip, so I do think it's reasonable that I could actually bang out the sleeves on that trip. So I'm in a good spot. I am honestly on track to finish this by May 3rd. This pattern is awesome, and I think when I finish this sweater, I'm gonna do a whole separate video dedicated to it, so I won't say too much right now. I'm really happy with the way that all these colors go together. I think this is going to be so pretty. With the materials this is made of, I'm sure I won't be wearing this in spring or summer, but that's fine. The point was to finish it in time for the pattern to be written. And when fall comes around, I'm going to be wearing this all the time. Oh, hang on, I just dropped a bunch of stitches. I think I got to this point of this panel like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna finish this sweater before I go on my trip. But that just has not been so, because I started doing this one and then I got distracted by other whips, and yeah. Basically all this to say, in terms of my spring knitting plans, I know I'm gonna get this done in spring, sprunger. One, because there's a due date and I hate breaking rules, so I will have it done by the due date. But also, just for like my sake, I am really trying to have this done by mid-April, and I'm on track to do that. This honestly works up so quickly, so I think after finishing this video today, I'm just gonna work on this a bunch. And as always, I'll be updating you guys on Instagram as I go with my progress. Let's move on. The next whip that I started in winter is the Cloud Blouse by Petite Knit. Let me get this mohair in order. Recently, Petite Knit published a pattern for the Cloud Blouse, which is the sister garment to her cloud sweater. This one really caught my eye because it's a lighter version of the cloud sweater. So you make it holding 2 strands of mohair. For mine, I'm working with a silk and mohair blend by Trey Liz. The colors are Love's a Stranger and Manawi. I am loving how these are working up. They are so soft. This is how far I've gotten in it. I'll keep this pretty brief. I started this just because I saw that she posted the pattern and I was like, I want to wear that in spring. And she had posted her version in like this really cool bright celery color, and I was like, I want a bright, fun colored version of that top as well. So once I saw this orange and this pink, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. What I will say about this, it's my first time doing a lot of the techniques used in this. I knew just from watching other videos that people made on YouTube about working Petite Knit patterns that she incorporates a lot of different techniques pretty often in her patterns. And I had never done short rows before this, and I don't think I'd ever done top down separate yokes like this. This top is part of the reason that I'm so behind on this project, because this has been so fun to work. I cannot wait to join this and just get working in the round. I think I'm really gonna work it up pretty quickly. This weekend I went from just having like 5 inches on the back yoke done to now having all of this done. So for me, that's really fast, and I think that this is gonna go by really quickly. I just really love the detailing on this. There's little pearl bumps on the shoulder, and I think the shaping is just really lovely, and I can just tell by looking at it, this is gonna fit me really well. The only thing I'll say is that when I was looking at this pattern, I was like, oh my gosh, the perfect like lightweight spring blouse. The fabric is just pretty dense, a little denser than I expected, and I think that this is actually going to be pretty warm. It's going to be perfect for like fire pit nights for sure in the spring, but I don't know how many of those I'll be having. Regardless, it's going to be so pretty, so I'm sure I'll figure out a way to wear it with like short skirts or shorts or something like that to maybe make it more spring appropriate. That was the only thing about this that kind of didn't go as expected for me, is I expected it to be a lot more lightweight, and it's feeling, yeah, thin, but just a little bit more, ooh, cozy rather than, breezy. Does that make sense? Yeah, I'm also not worried about finishing this in the spring. Like I said, I really am loving knitting this, so it's kind of been a chore to put it down, to be honest. Depending on how soon I finish this first whip, I think I could also finish this one by like the end of April at the latest. Again, check my Instagram stories because I've been posting about this one and my progress on it like daily. Okay, great. That is it for winter whips. Let's get into things that I want to crochet. What's exciting about spring and summer coming is that I think crochet tends to lend itself to more warm weather clothing items just by nature of what you make with crochet and the kind of fabric that it makes. I'm getting really excited to finish these knitting whips that I have going and then, you know, fall back into my crochet swing of things. I love that knitting projects take a long time. I actually find that really relaxing, and it makes the finished product feel so gratifying. It's wild. But I do miss that crochet. It's kind of like, at least this is how I am, and I feel like a lot of other people who do both say this to me. I feel like I sit down and I set out to do a crochet garment of some kind, and I'm done with it within the week at the longest. But with knitting, it can be months. So I am excited to just have some quicker turnaround time on some projects. And I think these crochet projects that I'm planning to do for spring and summer are gonna be really fun. So the first one is so cute, and I cannot wait to make this. This is the Cold Shoulder Top by Titty Tops by Kay. I actually met this designer at a craft circle, and I was looking at her Instagram, and we were like swapping Instagrams, and I was looking at her page and I was like, okay, this top on your profile is so cute. And she was like, oh, thanks, that's my pattern. I was like, what? I need to make that immediately. So I scooped that up, and I can't wait, y'all. I actually weeks ago made a swatch for this already, but I had some other things that I had to get done before I could start this. And I think that this is gonna be a perfect first spring crochet project. So I'm just looking at the pattern right now. What's really cool about it is it's a made to measure pattern, and if you look at her tester lookbook, everyone did something completely different. That's the kind of stuff I love. I really like following patterns, and I've definitely been doing a lot more of that since I've been more into knitting, because for knitting, like, I can freehand constructions that I'm familiar with, I guess. Like, I've made some freehand vests and things, and obviously like a scarf I could freehand, but I don't feel as comfortable doing that with knitting. But with crochet, I prefer to freehand, to be honest, and I don't really work from crochet patterns all that often. What I've really fallen in love with about patterns since I've been knitting more is that you know what you're gonna get, and you tend to get something that's built just a little bit better than the things that I can freehand. So I love that this is made to measure, and that there's a lot of opportunities for kind of riffing and doing your own thing, because I think that that's gonna be the perfect marriage of the two things that I love about crochet. So this is the swatch that I made, and this is where we get into the stash busting element. I talked about this in my 2023 whips I didn't finish video. I have so much of the Sky shade of Lion Brand 24/7 cotton. It's actually ridiculous. I was making a sweater in November and kind of freehand. I am just so bad at guessing how much yarn I need for something, and because I normally do crochet, I'm so used to needing a ton of yarn. Oh my gosh, you guys, I over-ordered by like, I don't even know how much. It was crazy. I must have ended up with like, this is so embarrassing. I must have truly ended up with like almost 10 skeins of this yarn. Honestly, that might be like maybe more than that. Anyway, I love the Lion Brand 24/7 cotton yarn. The problem is that when you have that much of something, you know, it's like, I don't want all my clothes to be the same color, so I've been kind of stuck on what to do with it. But I think I just love how this swatch ended up. Let me double check. I actually think that you're supposed to use a lighter weight yarn for this. Yeah, you're supposed to use sport or DK weight yarn, and this is a worsted weight yarn. But honestly, I think that this yarn works like a DK weight yarn. It's very thin. And so when I did the swatch, I was just trying to test and see if that was actually true and if it would work, and it does. So I'm excited. I think this top in this blue is gonna be so beautiful, and I actually recently thrifted a dress that I really want to throw this top over, because this top gives princess vibes and the dress does too, and I think it'd be a really cute layering moment for spring. So yeah, I think that's about it on that. I'm really excited to bang through this like whole shelf. I've actually covered how much of this sky color of 24/7 cotton that I have with my other yarns, because it's humiliating, but just know that this whole shelf right here is filled with this blue. So I'm so excited to use up some of it. That's that for that. Oh my gosh, okay. So the next thing is going to be really fun. So as I told you guys, I have a trip coming up this weekend, and I recently discovered, okay, my light actually just died, but I only have a certain amount of time that I can record this video. So we're gonna keep rocking and rolling. I recently discovered, I just moved into this apartment in January, and literally the street over from me lives a girl that I went to college with. Long story short, she's gonna be pet sitting for me. She's gonna be taking care of my cat partner while I'm gone. She very kindly refused any form of payment for doing this for me, but I wanted to do something to show my appreciation. So she has a dog named Joni. She has a whole Instagram account for Joni. They are the cutest little duo, and this dog is so adorable. Recently, I'm like so excited about this. Sorry, I can't stop smiling. So recently she posted about how she wants to start putting Joni in more bandanas and stuff. I recently made a bandana for my dog Hobbs. I made one to match a granny square top that I had made. And I was doing that and I was like, oh my God, I know exactly what I need to do. So I'm going to make bandanas for her and Joni. I really want them to match. I just think that that would be so cute for them to have like little matching springy bandanas. And I was looking at some ideas on Pinterest, but none of them really stuck out to me. And then I remembered something I had seen on Instagram. Let me pull up her website so I make sure I get all this info right. Okay, yeah. Beth of Realm Designs recently released this pattern for her daisy chain vest top. And what's so cute about this top is that it's just a bunch of crocheted daisies strung together in a vest shape. So I made one other one that I can't find, but I played around with making these yesterday. She has a YouTube video actually on how to make these, so I'm gonna link that below because you guys, this is so fun and you need to try it. She has a video on how to make these and the way that she does it is you build them off of each other so that they're built connected to each other like this. I'm not gonna do that. I would love, to be honest, if I could use up a bunch of my worsted weight acrylic. I just think it might be a little bit too thick, to be honest. Worsted weight acrylic is actually great for just like a granny square bandana. I've made quite a few of those, but I think just because these are kind of chunky, stringing them together might just be too thick of a bandana, especially for the human version. I don't know, it might be fine for the dog size because I think that one needs to be bigger, but I also feel like worsted weight thickness for a dog, that might just be too much. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm gonna play around with what I use, but I think that this is gonna be really cute. And again, I'm just plugging, you guys need to check out how to make these. They take like, I think less than 5 minutes and they're so cute. I don't want to add another project to this list because I already have so many, but I would love to make just like a little chair cover for my office chair in here out of a bunch of these. Stay tuned. And now we're on to my last crochet project that I want to make for spring, and this is, say it with me, the Relaxagon shirt. Yeah! This shirt went so viral last year. I hope that I pronounced the designer's name right. It's Caroline Zuschlag. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. By the time this design came onto my Instagram feed, it was just a little bit too cold and I didn't see how I could make this in a time frame where I would actually wear it. But now, spring is sprung and it's my time. What I would honestly really love is to make the matching pants with this. I don't know if that's actually feasible. Everything I've seen about making these Relaxagon shirts and like any hexagonal kind of granny square pattern item is that they take a long time after a while because you're just working in the round and after a while it just gets to be a super big project and you have to do like, it just takes a long time to do each round. Sure, I don't know, but I definitely want to make the shirt version. I also got some really cute buttons from this local craft store when I was in Portugal, and I have these enormous cones of Hobie cotton yarn. So I think I'm going to do it in black and white. I'm probably going to do white as my main color only because my cat sheds so much. And yeah, I don't have much more to say about that. It's just been on my want to do list for so long and I think I just need to go ahead and make it. And we'll see, if I crank through the shirt quick enough, then I might make the matching pants. I just think it looks so cute when you have the matching set. I could so imagine wearing that on trips this summer. I'm hopeful that I could finish that set by July 4th. I think that would be my goal. I don't really have a specific timeline that I want to finish that cold shoulder top in. The bandanas I'm going to finish in the next 2 or 3 days after filming this video because I go out of town this weekend. But this Relaxagon shirt, I do think I specifically want to have it ready by the time I go home for July 4th because I think beach days or even just, it gets so hot. My parents live in North Carolina and it gets so hot in July. So I just think having that Relaxagon, very breathable garment, hopefully set, is just going to be amazing for that weather. That's really all I have to say about my crochet plans, so let's get on into my knitting. So I actually only have one knitting project that I want to add on for spring. Largely that's because, as y'all now know, I have 2 knitting whips that I'm already working on. The second being that because I'm trying to focus on using yarn that I already have, I just don't have a lot of lightweight yarns that are also in fibers that I would want to wear in spring and summer. I have a lot of fingering weight like wools and things like that. I really like wearing cotton in the spring and summer, but in terms of the cotton yarns that I really want to stash bust, I'm doing that with the cold shoulder top. I don't know, I spent yesterday looking through the internet trying to find a pattern that used worsted weight yarn that I could actually wear in summer that was also a knitting project, because I know I want to have another knitting project in the spring and summer. The problem is the only yarn that I have that fits all the criteria of something that I can use and something that I want to turn into a wearable is made of 100% acrylic, which is just going to be hot. So that was the other challenge in trying to find a pattern, was I needed something that either was a loose gauge or was just breathable in its construction. But I do really love this yarn. This is the Loops and Threads Facet yarn in Sweet Raspberry. I think it's so pretty, and I have been dying to use this for a long time. Basically, I like dug around the internet looking for something that fit my very specific criteria for this knitting project. And I'm looking at it right now. I came across the Tide and True tank by Starcross Knits, and I think this is gonna be perfect, y'all, because it's really just an open vest that you tie together. So if you're wearing it on its own, there's a lot of skin exposed, so I think that that might offset some of the heat that this is going to produce. I don't know, that might be wishful thinking, but I think if anything was going to have a chance of working with my specific yarn criteria, it would be this one. I also just love this design. I'm normally not a peplum girly, but I love that this sits a little bit cropped. At least that's the original length that the pattern calls for. And I think the little bow moment is so cute. She even shows some pictures of her using this as a layering piece over a different top, and I think that would be so cute. I don't know, I think that this just hit the sweet spot if I could actually see myself wearing this. It has some elements that I think would be new to me. It looks like there's an insert portion for the ties in the bottom two sections of the peplum that you have to like thread the yarn through. I don't know. It looks really cool. Here's the other thing, and you may be hearing all this and you're like, Addie, I feel like you're setting yourself up to make something that you're not actually gonna wear. I don't know, I maybe agree with you. I'm hoping that's not the case. I only have 2 balls of this. I'm not buying any more, and I'm just barely going to be able to make that work for this top. I have enough yarn to make the size 2 option of this vest, but in looking at the measurements that she provides to help you figure out what size you need to make, I think I normally would make a size 3 for this. I think a size 2 will literally fit me. I just think in terms of like breathability and how I would like this specific top to fit, I think I normally would go for size 3. So I don't know, once I get into the pattern, because I haven't purchased it yet so I can't see what it's like, I'm gonna see if I'm able to kind of meld the 2 sizes together in a sense. This is acrylic, so I think even if I make a size 2, in my experience, blocking acrylic makes it grow a lot. So I don't know, you know, this may not be a perfect plan, but I wanted a knitting project and I really like this top. I really like this yarn. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, that is actually my last knitting project that I had plans to make for the spring and summer. So let's go ahead and get into my last category, which I'm calling the if I get to it's. Okay, so the first one I'll keep very brief. I have an idea for a crochet picnic blanket that I want to make, but I'm not going to talk too much about this. And I know it's annoying, but I'm only saying that because I think I came up with like a really cool construction and a really good idea for this. And if I'm able to get to this spring, I think I'm gonna write a pattern for it. So I'm gonna kind of keep that to myself for now, but just know that that's something else that I might make if I get to it, is a crochet picnic blanket idea. I just want to experiment with that a bit more and see if there's anything there before I like talk about it. So it's actually fun. I wrote out a list of all the stuff to talk to you guys about. I actually have another one for this category since I made this list yesterday. I really like just having knitting projects ongoing. I recently made my first raglan, and oh my god, I see why everyone like seems to always have a raglan in the works. It's so satisfying and such a good mindless project. These next 2 ideas are in that vein. I have been loving looking at loose gauge knits on my Instagram. And it's just something that I could definitely see myself just throwing on as an extra layer when I head to the park, or again, like, I don't know why fire pits keep coming to mind, but I feel like, you know, cold, chilly summer nights when you're around a fire pit, you want like a little layer, but you don't want anything that's too hot. So for this first loose gauge raglan idea I have, I'm thinking that this might be a good opportunity to use up more acrylic yarn that I have, which is going to be hotter, but if I do it in a looser gauge, it'll have some breathability to it. At least that's my thought. Y'all are going to look at this and you're going to be like, girl, you don't want to sweat in that. And I agree with you, but I think it would be really cute and fuzzy. So I am just like anyone else, and I have fallen victim to being intoxicated and enchanted by the Karen novelty yarns when I walk into a Michaels. It sucks, y'all. Like, these yarns are fine, but it's just that they're so big and I can never use a whole cake. There's just so much yarn to them. I actually did a huge stash busting Etsy drop before Christmas. I made just like a bunch of scarves and little projects and things that were good, like winter pieces, out of some other Karen cakes that I had, because it was the only way I could think to get through all of this yarn. I just go into Michaels and they look so pretty and they always like organize them so well. I don't know, I just walk into Michaels and I see them and they're so pretty and I want to take them home, and then I get them home and not only do I never have an idea of what to make with them, but they are just so enormous that even if I get an idea, I find that I don't even make a dent in this cake. So this is a Karen latte cake in the shade Blueberry. I don't know, it's like a fuzzy yarn, which is why I never reach for it. I truly, like, this was a purchase that I made and then I got this yarn home and I was like, that was so excessive. I don't know why I bought this. By the way, it's no shade to Karen. They make fine yarns. It's just, I feel like I buy ones that I just know I'm not realistically going to use, even if they look so pretty in the store. But this is very soft, and I do think it would be nice to do a little loose gauge raglan in this. And it's kind of slightly color changing, so I think that would be kind of cool. It is slightly color changing, so I think that would be really pretty as you're working in the round to see the stripes form. So I don't know, if I get to this project, then I'll see if I like using this yarn for it. And if I don't, then this is going on Facebook Marketplace because I simply can't look at it any longer on my shelf. The next thought that I have for a loose gauge knit, I have these hand spun yarns that I made. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I recently took a workshop on how to hand spin yarn on a drop spindle, and I've been obsessed. It is so fun. Highly recommend y'all try it if you've been curious about it. But I have these two cute little funky looking skeins of hand spun yarn. I actually have more than this. These are just the two different colors that I have, so I wanted to show you guys. I've been really torn because I want to make something with these, but I just haven't known what or how to incorporate them into something. I don't have enough to make anything that's just made out of these, so it has to be a little mix or a scrap project of some kind. Oh my gosh, I stumbled on this account on Instagram yesterday. This user, I'm filming on my phone so I can't pull up their Instagram and their handle escapes me, my bad. I'll find all the info for you guys. I go to their profile, turns out I love everything that they make. They have this one loose gauge sweater knit that I was like, that is exactly how I want to use my hand spun yarn. They have just a bunch of scrap colors, you know, all over this sweater, and then every few rows they have some hand spun yarn detailing in it, and I love the way that it makes the uneven thickness of the hand spun yarn pop. That's exactly how I want to use these, so this is definitely a possibility that I am very excited by. I have a few scrap yarns in my collection that I think I could definitely make work for something like this. I also recently picked up these two yarns at a free craft supply shelf, and I'm thinking that these might all be very pretty together because this pink wool blend has some grays in it and this maroon color has some purples in it. So I'm not sure. That one is in the very beginning stages of being an idea. But yeah, I just want to do something that's like a mindless knit and also a loose gauge because I think that the texture looks so cool. So I don't know, those are some things that it's like they would be really cool to have. I really want to make them, but they are just kind of fun little side quests. So I'd like to get through the other projects that I mentioned first before I get into those. Yeah, I think that's about it for all my plans. Thank you guys for watching. I know I don't have anything too crazy in these plans or anything, but I'm just wanting to make sure that I set realistic goals for myself this spring and summer while also stash busting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about all of it. I think I have a cute little spring ahead of me of knitting and crochet. And I have to say, planning ahead like this for my seasonal crafting is very new to me and I really like it. I think It's gonna help me stay more organized, more focused, and get less scattered, because I'm definitely someone who will be working on something for months and then be like, ooh, what's that shiny new pattern? And then start something new and forget about what I was working on. And a lot of these are things that are actually gonna push me as a maker and teach me new skills and stuff. So I think I need to prioritize some of that right now and get myself out of my crafting comfort zone, all while going through some of this yarn that's been in my stash for literally years. But yeah, that's gonna be all from me today, you guys. If you guys are new here, I am too, so please make sure to leave a like and a comment on this video. Please tell me what some of your spring and summer crafting plans are, because I think it's so fun to hear what everyone else is working on. If you're not already, please make sure to subscribe. I don't have a specific posting schedule, so the best way to know when I do post a new video is just to make sure you're subscribed. Like I was mentioning in my video, if you want to keep updated on my progress on my different projects, make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm posting on there a lot just so that you guys can see where I'm at with my projects. I kind of keep it as like a crafting journal of sorts. My username over there and on my TikTok is the same as it is here on YouTube. It's @_the_dropped_stitch. I'd love to see you guys over there, so be sure to check me out. If you're hearing my cat meowing in the background, that's him telling me to wrap it up. So all I will say is be sure to drink some water, stretch your wrists, and please purl responsibly. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!